Hey, everybody. It is our open forum show. Great to have Rhino with me. Hope that everyone is doing well. I want to put a wrap on the Super Bowl. I also want to talk about the Kings as they go into NOLA. CJ McCollum is questionable now. And, if they lose McCollum, I would say the Pelicans have no chance. They have no chance at all of beating Sacramento.
He has really, besides Zion, been the one to give the Kings a run for their money late in games as well because of that minutes restriction. So I am completely with you, Grant. You don't have CJ. This absolutely becomes 2 games that you have to win, must win at that point.
Absolutely. By the way, his reason is personal. So McCollum personal, who knows what that means. All right. To me, the Super Bowl from start to finish, including the halftime, was one of the actually, first of all, I turned the game off halfway through the third quarter. So I didn't watch the last quarter and a half. Yeah. I was done. It was such a boring, bad game. Give credit to the Eagles. Their defense absolutely dominated the football game. The halftime show was, in my opinion, embarrassing. Again, I'm a white 65-year-old male, so keep that in the perspective. It's not my genre of music, but from an entertainment perspective, it was lacking. And I want for a Super Bowl halftime. First of all, I don't really get into the Super Bowl halftime, but if I'm going to, I want to be entertained.
Sure.
And I think that the Super Bowl halftime show needs to appeal to the masses. And I think that this year's Super Bowl show did not appeal to the masses. And to me, it's just a common theme with the NFL. They are so woke. They are so hypocritical of stuff. But again, I'm 65. I'm a different generation. But I just thought the whole Super Bowl from start to finish was terrible.
Yeah, I'm going to kick this back to you really quick. Were the Eagles, or should I say, are the Eagles that good, or was Kansas City that bad?
Well, the Eagles were that good on Sunday, and their defense dominated the football game at the line of scrimmage. And when you can dominate the line of scrimmage, you're going to win. Mahomes had no time to do anything, and when he did, he was not good. What did we say about Kansas City all year? They just found ways to win.
Yep.
But they didn't look that good, right? We kept on saying that over and over again. They found ways to win. They found ways to win. But, boy, they don't really look that good. Well, they didn't look that good on Sunday, and Philadelphia looked great.
Yeah, they absolutely did. You know what was weird for me, regardless of the Kansas City Chiefs just kind of getting by throughout the season, Patrick Mahomes looked like Patrick Mahomes. On Sunday, he looked uncomfortable. I don't recall seeing him play that way in a very long time, Nabes.
He did look very uncomfortable. And I think anytime you can put pressure on the quarterback, I remember when the Giants did that against Tom Brady when they were undefeated, the Giants front made Tom Brady look uncomfortable. Pressure in your face and ending up on your back a lot will make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, the crazy thing is no blitzes. They did it all in their base defense.
Yeah, they did it with their base four. Yeah.
That much more impressive. Kansas City was sloppy on the line. When they did get some plus plays, they came back, whether it be a person down field or a hold. So very uncharacteristic, but I'm with you. It kind of reminded me to a degree. I still think the Seahawks were better against the Broncos, but that kind of defensive performance, it goes down in that category.
I want to get to this hot take. I think that Kendrick Lamar would have played better with an NBA fan base audience. I disagree 100%. The NBA audience at games, if you go and look at the demographics of the fans at NBA arenas across America, they're not what you saw in terms of the entertainers on the stage at the Super Bowl. They're mostly white. Let's just call it the way it is. 40, 50, and 60-year-old males. All right. I've done research on this with my eyes. I've been to every NBA arena in America. Okay.
You have.
The fan base at these NBA arenas, they're not African-American. They're not people of color. They're not Asian. They're not Hispanic. They're predominantly white. And they're predominantly in their middle age. Now, are there exceptions? Obviously, there are exceptions. But that's just the way it is. And if you want to, debate me on that, please do. I would love to get into a conversation with this. But my eyeball test is that's who your NBA audience is. That is go look at Golden One Center when they pan the crowd with the TV angles, right?
Yeah, it's definitely there's something to it, no doubt about it.
So, I just, again, I'm 65, I'm white. It's not my genre of music. So I put that out there. All right. Maybe I can't relate to it. Again, I don't really care. First of all, I didn't know who Kendrick Lamar was, but I don't need to know who somebody is to enjoy it or not enjoy it.
Sure.
But I'll be honest with you. I didn't know who Kendrick Lamar is, but I approached it with open arms. I just could not believe on my timeline and on social media how many people were like me, both young, old, black, white, whatever, that also thought it was horrible. But, again, I don't watch the Super Bowl for the halftime, but with the first half being so bad and the game being over at the half, I'm like, well, okay, maybe halftime will bring me back in and get me excited. No, it did not.
Yeah, the NFL just can't find that sweet spot, right? They either go too niche where it's a rapper or a genre that's very specific to a group of people that enjoy that music, whether you're white, black, purple, green, yellow. Then they go old. Rolling Stones, they target that demographic, people that maybe time has passed by. They can't find that sweet spot. And to me, an NFL halftime show is all about what you said, entertainment.
I think they found, you're right. I don't mean to step on you. Go ahead, finish.
Yeah, I think the music is secondary to the spectacle. You want to see the stadium involved. You want to see the people on the field. And to Kendrick's case, the music was really low key. And, if you didn't know what he was singing about, you don't understand it. So I see it.
Listen, I think when Prince was the halftime entertainment, that appealed to the masses. That's one of the most well-received halftime show ever.
Michael Jackson in Los Angeles, the Rose Bowl.
Madonna was at the halftime entertainment at the first Super Bowl I was at, and that was unbelievable. So, again, it's all personal preference, but due to the fact that you have over 100 million people watching a Super Bowl, that means that encompasses many demographics.
Sure.
First of all, you're not going to be able to appeal to everybody, so you have to put that out there. There's always going to be individuals or sectors of society that can't identify or don't like it. So we need to accept that. You can't appeal to 120 million people.
But I think there's a caveat there too. There are artists that cross over across multiple genres. You got a little bit of country in you. You have a little bit of a hip hop feel. You can do a little bit of everything. Those are the ones that I think kind of fit better in situations like this.
I do not disagree with you. But again, those are just my thoughts. I always hate the week after the Super Bowl because that means no more NFL football. I do want to say that I don't know if Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys is delusional. I really mean that. He came out today or yesterday. I want to say it was today. Okay. And said, we're next. All right. You know what he needs to do? Just continue to rehab. Okay. Quote, I feel like we've competed with the Eagles and beat them for the most part when we played them. I didn't want to say check the record when the other guy is holding the trophy, right? So credit to them. They earned it and they deserve it by all means. But yeah, we're very close. Dak, I hate to break this to you, but as long as you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, they ain't close. Okay. And as long as you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, you ain't going to the Super Bowl. So, pipe down and try to win a freaking playoff game more than once, okay? Shut up and get ready to play. Would you please? You're close. You're not close. You're not even in the neighborhood. First of all, right now, you're the third best team in the division behind Philadelphia and Washington. You're not close.
I think what he meant to say was, or maybe they cut off his quote, we're close to being on the clock for our draft pick, Napes. I think that was a little bit more appropriate.
And as long as you have Jerry Jones as your owner, you're never close.
Were you surprised by their hiring at head coach, Schottenheimer?
There's nothing that surprises me with the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones. Nothing.
Feels like a yes man hire, right? You got to
be. You're going to work for Jerry.
100%. Can you imagine having that job? I know you were around Vivek and owners that meddle, but I think Jerry's at a different level with his involvement on a daily basis.
It would be challenging. That is for sure. Kellen Moore leaves Philadelphia to become the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. So we've got that. Looks like Deebo Samuel is going to be wearing a different uniform next year. That will be very interesting from a 49ers perspective.
Hey, but Brandon Ayuk's ready to be that number one, Grant. He's paid that way.
Hopefully he can catch the ball this year before he gets hurt.
Yeah. Stay on the field. I wonder what the market's going to bear for Deebo, and then also the Brock Purdy thing. That's coming up. Where do Niners fans stand? I've heard Niners fans flip, Grant. Well, maybe Brock isn't worth one of those top contracts. Maybe he should take a little bit of a pay cut to spread the wealth out.
I can't imagine the 49ers without Brock Purdy. I think they'd be in a lot of trouble. Grant, what memory stands out most from your first broadcast calling a Kings game in 1988? I was at the team hotel, the Red Lion Inn. Things have changed since then.
A little bit.
In Portland, getting ready for my first game. Terry Porter, Clyde Drexler, Jerome Kersey, Buck Williams, Kevin Duckworth, Mike Schuler, the head coach, Portland Veteran Memorial Coliseum. It was about 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm getting dressed, getting ready to get on the bus to go to the arena, and the phone rings. Got to remember, this is pre-cell phones now, so the hotel phone rings. I'm like, well, I better answer it. And it is Tom Curran, who just passed away. Rest in peace, Tom. Tom had called the Kings on TV on Channel 13 with Lucius Allen from 1985 to 1988, 3 years. KOVR lost the contract to Channel 31, and obviously I started doing the games. Tom called me up, called my hotel room, and said, hey, man, I just want to let you know I'm wishing you the very best. Yes, this is a hard day for me, but if I got to pass the torch to anybody, I'm very happy that it's on to you. And I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you and I wish you the best. That's one of the classiest phone calls I've ever received in my entire life.
How about that? That's incredible. What? So maybe I'm going to go too far behind the curtain. For you, you never did a ton of preparation. It just came to you. You didn't plan your lines. You knew what you were doing. When you're walking into your first NBA job, your first NBA game, was it the same? Did you prep different?
No, I do a lot of preparation, but I don't do a lot of preparation with writing. I do a lot of preparation with my mind.
Right.
I talk to a lot of people, and I believe that announcers give way too many stats. I'm not a stat-driven guy, as you know, based on my conversation here. I'm an eyeball test guy. I use my eyes to tell me the story. Now, there are times when numbers are relevant and very pertinent to what you're doing, and I will add those to the telecast. I have always been gifted. I couldn't remember what 2 + 2 was in math class, but I could remember what happened in 1987 on January 25th at the Rose Bowl when the Giants won 39-20 when it was 3rd and 14 in the second quarter. I remember that, okay? I remember things that helped me with my job. I have an amazing recall to remember sports, conversations, points in a game, moments in a game, where I don't have to write everything down. I've told you this. I never have anything written down in front of me when I do a show. I have had in the past, when I've done endorsement reads, bullet points, where I'll have 4 or 5 things written down when I have a new sponsor, because it's not fresh in my mind yet. But after I do the read 3 or 4 times, I don't need the bullet points anymore, and I just do it as I go. A lot of people used to think I didn't do any homework for the games because I didn't have anything written down, or I didn't have nearly as much written down as a lot of other announcers. There are 3 reasons for this. Number one, a lot of the broadcast positions that we work at are very cramped and don't have a lot of room. And what I noticed was there's really not a lot of space when I have a monitor, a stats monitor, another monitor, 3 audio boxes for our headsets, one for me, one for my analyst, and a spare. So by the time all of that stuff is on my broadcast table, I have very little room to even put a bottled water or what have you, whatever I need. So when I did write things down, I found that I didn't have a real good area to put them. And I used to have to put one on top of the other, one for one team, one for the other. And what I found was if I needed it, it took too long to get to. Some broadcast areas were better than others. But a lot of broadcast areas that I worked at in the NBA were too cramped to have a lot of things like that in front of me. And I like space. I like to be able to not be cramped. And I just felt I was cramped doing that. So I was very fortunate, and I'm not bragging here, we're all different.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate that I could look at a trend and it would be in my mind and I wouldn't have to write it down. Like if we're playing a team and they've lost 9 of 11 and they've been outscored by 20 points in 6 of those games, I could look at that and it's in my mind. I don't need to write it down. But I got most of my information from talking with the other team's broadcasters, who I got to know. We're a pretty close-knit fraternity.
Yep.
So before the game, we would always talk to one another. And a team broadcaster will tell you things that you can't get in the notes that the teams hand out. A team broadcaster will tell you things that the coach will not tell you. Okay. So like that was invaluable to me. I always talked with the other team's broadcaster, and that's where I got a lot of my information. So for those that would say, well, gee, he's not prepared because I didn't have anything written down. No, I was prepared, but I have it prepared up here in my head.
Yeah, in your own way. In your own way. By the way, add a monitor if the Giants are playing. The other caveat.
Well, I would take yes. Before the National Football League was available on your phone, I would always have Bertie, our director. He knew he didn't need. He would have a monitor with the Giants game on in front of me. And Jerry, I used to watch the Giants game, announce the Kings game, and I wouldn't miss a play at a football game.
Yep, Jerry talks about it all the time. PK, call back if you want to get in. We will take that call. Let's see. I saw a couple of good questions for you. I want you. I think you have had some experience with Eric. I've never actually met him, but I think this is an award that's more important than MVP. Eric wins the Man of the Year.
Yep, the Walter Payton Man of the Year to me is the most prestigious honor in the National Football League. I am so happy for Eric. I've known his dad, Gus, for, ever since I got to Sacramento. I don't know Eric well, but whenever I see him, we shake hands and say hi. But I've always admired him from a distance. I've admired how he goes about his life. I've admired how he's always helping out and trying to make his community better.
Yep.
I've admired how he plays on the field. I've admired his sportsmanship. I'm a huge fan of Eric Armstead. And when I saw that, I was very, so happy for him and his family. They are a phenomenal family, and Eric Armstead is top shelf.
Absolutely. Nervous Ellison, Marvin Bagley, bigger bust, Napes.
That's a great question. I would say pretty equal. I would say pretty even. That the only difference is Purvis was taken number 1.
Yeah.
But I would say pretty even.
DSC, I think the question is answered. I don't think Napes has any written lists. They're all up here.
What are the type of
what type of list do
you know have? What? I'll tell you right now. Now, don't laugh when you say this. When my wife sends me to the store, she's got to write a list because I will forget about it.
Of course.
I'm like, so no, write it down. Yep. Okay. Like, no. Write it freaking down.
And send it in one text message if you're going to do it digitally. Don't send me 20 text messages, please.
Absolutely. And, now with camera phones, I can go, this is the right one, right? You know what I mean? Because I don't want to get home and have to turn around and go back. So I forget things a lot in life, but I don't forget many things involving sports. And I don't forget who's winning when it's a 2-point game. Okay. I don't forget that either.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of your memory, do you remember when, you realized that you had that gift as a kid when you wanted to be a broadcaster? It's
fourth grade.
Fourth grade.
Yeah. I started listening to Marv Albert do the Knicks and the Rangers. And I had a portable, old-fashioned white cassette recorder. And I would record the games, and then I would, with the counter, it had a counter on it, like 1 through 999.
Yeah.
So if you had something that was really good at 546, if you want to listen to it again, you could put the cassette in and fast forward to 546, right?
Nice.
And then listen. So I used to do that and let my friends listen to it in the morning. after the game. And I used to listen to Marv almost on a nightly basis. And then my grade school was literally about 150 yards from my house. So I always used to go home for lunch, but if you took the bus to school, you ate at the cafeteria in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have your lunch break, which means you couldn't get out on the playground until the bell rang to dismiss you from lunch. I used to run home, cook a grilled cheese on the skillet. We had a great skillet. I used to cook my own grilled cheese, eat it as I was going back to the school, and reserve the basketball court for my buddies so that when they got out of lunch, we had the basketball court. And then I used to announce the game and play in it at the same time in grade school.
That is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Guarding you must have been really awkward. What is this guy talking about? He's talking in third person? Napier.
Again, I told you in junior high school, when we had a class assembly where the whole school had to be at the assembly, if the program ran short, the students would start chanting my name. And I would get up on the stage in front of hundreds and hundreds of students, and I would go, do you want a hockey game or a basketball game? And if they wanted basketball, I'd do a basketball game. If they wanted a hockey game, I would do a hockey game. I put commercials in. I did everything until the bell rang. Sometimes the bell rang in 3 minutes. Sometimes it rang in 10 minutes, but no problem. I had commercials. I had, line changes. I had it all. Yeah.
What was the beer one again?
Schaefer.
Schaefer.
For just about every kind of beer you can name, there's one beer that stands a cut above the other, and that beer is Schaefer. One beer bright, one beer rewarding, every beer through from your first frosty glass to your very last. And brother, that's the beer you've got coming. Schaefer, the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
That's so much. That is so gold.
Can you believe I still remember that after?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Plus years.
It's incredible. PK, what's up tonight?
Hey guys.
What's up?
Hey, different change of pace. Can I tell you guys a Valanciunas story?
It's open forum. Go for it.
Okay. So I'm born in the same little town called Utena. Utena in Lithuania, same as Valanciunas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Utena, only 26,000 people. It's like a small town in Lithuania. Came to U.S. I speak no English, but
can you speak Lithuanian?
Fluently. I try. It's a hard language.
Okay.
But it's a hard language. But
okay.
But my father grew up with Valanciunas and their family in our small town, and Valanciunas' dad, like a fake dad, was called the Wolf. They called him the Wolf in the entire town. I think he has a tattoo of a wolf because of his dad. He wasn't his official dad, but he was always around. He was like a master rower, and he was a dancer until he was 16 years old. Then he grew so big that Žalgiris, Kona Žalgiris, everyone knows the Euros a little bit, Grant, right? Like Kona Žalgiris and Euros.
Okay, go ahead.
Žalgiris is it's one of the top teams in Europe. I'm
sorry, I'm not familiar with it, but go ahead.
Yeah. So Valanciunas got picked up he was a dancer. At 16, he was a ballroom dancer, but he was so tall, they picked him up. They taught him how to play basketball. Then the second Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, the team picked him up on the minors, and they brought him up. And then Raptors came in to Lithuania to see what's going on. They made a documentary about it, and the fact that he's here, and the fact that
Very
like
cool.
just think about just like the progression of someone.
Very cool.
The Pelicans broadcaster called today Kings radio station, and
Yep.
he said he's never met someone so awesome. And they said the only reason that Pelicans beat down on Kings for so long was because Valanciunas was there.
Yeah, well, you know what? There's a lot of truth to that. That's a
Takes
great
up a lot
story,
of space.
BK. Thank you, buddy. Valanciunas killed the Kings last year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He could do a little bit of it all for him. I think that's an amazing story from this standpoint. It was much different back then, recruiting international players. It's not like it is today. It's insane.
Totally different. No question. Absolutely. I mean, after spending so much time with Vlade and talking to him about playing in the Olympics and then with the Civil War and the split, which ESPN did a great job on the 30 for 30. It was an incredible story. But then to hear the inside details from Vlade about what that period of time was like, Vlade actually believes that had it not been for the war, he believes that Yugoslavia would have had a chance to win a gold medal at the Olympics. And I got to tell you, I don't disagree with him. I'm not saying they would have, but they would have made it to the finals.
They've always played basketball the right way. It's not above the rim, but it is fundamental in the right way. I mean, I don't know if there was a better fit for Vlade and some of those guys with Kochi and the offense that they used to run. Match made in heaven names.
Yep, match made in heaven. Amen to that. Yep.
Do you have any of your early checks when you first started recording yourself?
I don't. I don't. The first like on-air experience I had was in high school. My high school had a radio station. It was called WKWZ. And I announced some basketball games while in high school on the radio station, but I don't have any tape of it or whatever the hell they used back then.
All right, Al, here's the problem. So Al says he always has to have his wife on speed dial. I don't know if you run into this. A lot of the stores have terrible reception. You get back to the paper towels, get back to the eggs, no reception. So it's hard to do that, but good job, Al.
Here's the worst part. The worst part is when you're getting all that stuff and you're in line and you just paid and you're walking out the door and you get another text. Oh, I forgot. Can you get this?
Yes.
That, like, it seems to happen all the time, right?
You know what the saving grace is though? The self-checkout line. The self-checkout line saves our tail when it comes to that. Before you had to go get in the long line again. It's like, do I got to do it? Chris says, hey, Grant, remember when the Kings 43-game losing streak ended November 24th, 1991 against the Orlando Magic? And the game was on channel 31 with you and Ted Green calling the game.
I do remember it. I don't know if Ted was with me that game. I don't think he was. I believe Ted had stopped doing the games then, but I could be wrong. But yeah, you know who played on that Orlando team was Reggie Theus.
Really? Interesting. I didn't know he was in Orlando.
Yep.
Okay.
I remember Jim Les hit a big shot, and I remember that leading up to that, you would turn on the TV in your hotel room or you'd pick up the local newspaper to read about the game, and everyone was making fun of the Kings.
Sure.
And by the way, that's a record that will never, ever, ever, ever be broken again.
43 in a row.
And I told you when we got off the airplane, after the first year that Sacramento had their airplane called, the Pistons were the first team to have their private jet, and it was called Round Ball One. That was the name of their jet.
Right.
Well, when the Kings got their jet, it was called Airball One. And it was a old Bach 111. So old, in fact, that it had a big wire cable going from the top of the cockpit, outside the cockpit, obviously, to the tail. And that's how they were able to change direction based on that cable that changed the rudder, right?
Insane.
So the Kings' first year, they went 1-40 on the road. I tell this story all the time. And Dick Motta was the coach. 1-40, okay? And we're getting off the airplane after our last trip, and Dick goes, man, it's a good thing we had our own plane this year. We may have gone 0-41.
Too good. You got to have a sense of humor in times like that. You absolutely do. Wilson, I have it on good authority, unnamed sources, that he is studying the schedule right now. So he's a little bit busy, Grant.
Good. He needs to.
He needs to study the schedule. No question. A lot of people agreeing with you. Grant, favorite game to attend as a broadcaster and why?
Favorite game ever or favorite arena to broadcast in?
Says favorite game.
I don't have a favorite game. I did, 32 years worth. I don't have one that is my favorite of all time. I've got a couple, but I don't have one, that's for sure.
Did it kill you when the Kings got, and I know you did some stuff on the radio side, but not to be calling those 2002 games, that Lakers series? I know you didn't.
Well, I actually called games 3 and 4 on the radio by myself at the Staples Center. Game 4 was the Robert Horry shot. And to this day, those are two of my favorite games that I've ever called. The other being a game I did on radio in the same year against the Dallas Mavericks, or it may have been the next year, but it was, Gary Gerald missed a lot of radio in May because he was always doing the Indianapolis 500 every weekend, the qualifying and everything else. So I would always, and that was Memorial Day weekend. And I'll never forget that 2 days as long as I live for a variety of reasons. But I sit down. It's very odd. The radio position back then at the Staples Center was opposite the Kings bench at the very far end of the table, closest to the Lakers bench, but there were courtside seats between me and the Lakers bench. And I'm sitting at the very last chair of the scorers table, and sitting right next to me, so close that I could touch elbows with her, was Heather Locklear.
Oh, yeah?
Who at the time was the star of Melrose Place and was married to Richie Sambora, right?
Yep.
And the Kings destroyed the Lakers in Game 3.
Mm-hmm.
And at one time, I said the score is, and we'll be back to the Lakers Public Library or the Los Angeles Public Library right after this on the Sacramento Kings radio network. That's how quiet it was. And Heather, I could see, started laughing. And I took my headset off to grab some water. And she said, excuse me. I said, yeah, hi. She goes, I just want to let you know you are really, really good at what you do. And I said, thank you. I go, you're really, really, really good at what you do. And she laughed. And then obviously Game 4 was the Robert Horry shot.
Yeah.
And I had my wife at the time and my kids, very young. They were at that age 4 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Memorial Day weekend. So we went to Disneyland on the off day.
Brave man. Brave man.
Here, how stupid am I? Let's go to Disneyland on Memorial Day weekend.
My goodness.
So anyway, I was like, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but after the Robert Horry shot, after I did the post game, I walk into the Kings locker room and it's very quiet. And Vladdy comes running up to me. Mm-hmm. Vladdy's the one that should have felt the worst of anyone, right?
Yeah.
And he said, all these guys had their heads down. I told them to keep their head up. We're going back and we're winning Game 5 and we're coming back and winning the series. He said, that's the first thing I said when we walked in the locker room. Well, I had told my wife that I would drive back home instead of taking the plane before the game started. I have never in my broadcast experience felt as down and depressed as I had that game. And I was in no mood to talk, and my wife wanted to talk, and I said, I'm not talking the whole way home. The kids at that point had, fortunately, a video screen on the headrest where they could watch movies, right?
Yeah.
So they were good. But then my wife started talking, and I said, and then the kids, I said, hang on a minute. I pulled over. I reached into my backpack. I got my noise canceling headsets. No, true story. I put them on, and I left them on the whole way home. I couldn't talk. I didn't want to talk. I've never been so down and depressed ever after a game.
I don't know if there's ever been 2 games, and I mean this seriously, and I know we hyper-focus because we're here in Sacramento, that have had season, or I should say series swinging moments back-to-back like that I can remember. Because when Ori hits the shot, you're thinking, all right, well, the Lakers are going to come to life now, and then the Kings come back. Bibby hits that shot, and it's like, okay, they walk off the court, the arena's still everybody there. There's no way they're going to lose 2 to these guys in 3 games.
Right. Game 6 to this day is still considered the worst officiated game in NBA history. Most observers that had nothing to do with the Kings or the Lakers would tell you that. And they got screwed. But game 7, they missed 14 free throws on their home floor.
Yeah. What was I've never asked you this. What was the locker room temperature after that game 7?
I didn't go into the locker room. I got off the air and I went home. I didn't even go into the locker room.
Very interesting. Ryan Anderson says Grant is as much part of the Kings as they are Sacramento. The city misses you in person, but this is a very close second. What about a streaming show during drive time, Napes?
I do some shows at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and that's drive time. So yeah, and thank you for your compliment. I really appreciate that. You know, whenever I see the name Ryan Anderson, I think of Ryan Anderson, the former NBA player who went to Oak Ridge High School, who has been a guest on my podcast and on my radio show very often. And he's one of my favorite people that I've ever met in all my years of announcing sports.
Grant, do you have a relationship with Carmichael Dave? If so, would you discuss Kings with him on the platform?
Dave is one of my best friends, and I would not have Dave on my show based on who his employer is.
Ryan, what was Ori doing at the top of the key? Where he's the best. It's where he was supposed to be.
Well, he should have been. Most power forwards would have been getting ready for a rebound putback, but for whatever reason, he was out on the perimeter in the right place at the right time.
Don't you kind of clear out for Shaq in that position? Like I could see why. It's almost like that free safety. That guy just hit so many big shots. So many.
Big shot, Bob.
Big shot. I heard he hates that, by the way. Big shot, Bob.
I don't know why. I mean,
There's
he made
worse.
so many of them over his career, whether it was Houston, whether it was the Lakers, or whether it was with the Pistons. And
there's so many worse nicknames than Big Shot Bob.
I love that. I think that's a great nickname.
I 100% agree. I'm going to ask you this on the air because everybody's kind of talking about that 2002 team. I've asked you this personally. I think the fans would appreciate it. What would having a ring have meant to you that 2002 year?
It would have meant everything because I was going to give it to my dad. I had already decided that I was going to give it to my father. And that would have been the greatest thrill of my life to be able to give him an NBA World Championship ring. I was going to give it to my dad.
Jerry, amazing stuff, by the way. Jerry, you can tell that is raw still with you guys. Like it just happened yesterday, you know. I don't know that you get over some of that stuff. What was it like filming the LeBron commercial back in 2003?
Very boring. Very boring. Jerry and I got there early in the morning. We was there all day. We sat around. We ended up doing about 5 minutes worth of stuff. There was hardly anybody there. There were maybe 75 fans where they did different shots. LeBron obviously wasn't there. None of the players were there. They didn't do the commercial all in one day, but it was very, very boring. But it was neat to see how they go about making a commercial like that. And then about 2 or 3 weeks later, they called me and said, "Hey, we need you to go to a studio in Sacramento to do an audio track for us. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I did the audio track, and I didn't see the commercial until the NFL Sunday before opening week of the NBA. And the commercial was on all the NFL games. And I was just like, wow, it was very cool.
Very cool. Chris says he met you and one of your favorites, Wayman Tisdale, back in 1989.
Well, Tizzy was the salt of the earth. If you didn't like Wayman Tisdale, you had a problem. He and his family were the best. Regina, his wife, the best. Just the best. I don't know what else you can say about Wayman Tisdale. If anyone ever said a bad word about Wayman Tisdale, that would be indictment on that person, not Wayman.
That's a very good way to put that.
It would be like someone saying something bad about Gary Gerald.
It's an incredible way to put that. PK's asking about Zach LaVine. Wants us to talk Zach LaVine. Do you have any concerns about what you're seeing from LaVine so far, Napes?
Yes, not necessarily on whether he can play or not, but how he fits in with the other pieces. See, I don't look at individual talent when I'm talking about a team. I look at how the pieces fit. Right. Like, I didn't think De'Aaron Fox fit in well this year. Is he a tremendous player? Yes. But was he the right piece for what was around him? And I'm not so sure the answer to that question was yes. I'm having the same reservations about Zach LaVine. What about you?
You know, I've been a little disappointed with his just basketball decision-making. I don't want to call it IQ. It just seems like for a guy that's an all-star, it should be a little bit better. I think you need a different piece around him. I think I can't judge it totally until I see a point guard on the floor with him, but he's looked off. He's looked a little bit like a fish out of water, Grant.
He's not looked good. That's for sure. He has not looked good. And the Kings need to win these two games, especially if CJ McCollum does not play. 100%. He's questionable due to personal reasons. And if he misses these games, there's no way the Pelicans will beat the Kings. Well, how are they going to beat the Kings without CJ McCollum?
Grant, they had CJ in the first game. I was going to say it was a 2-point game in New Orleans. It's just such a freaky place to play. $2 tickets. It's empty. It's quiet. You got to create your own energy.
They don't deserve a team. That team should be in Seattle.
Well, see, but then, yeah, I agree with you. That's a very easy relocation. It does make a lot of sense. There was a question about you broadcasting with Jerry. I'll pull it up in a second. And anything you learned all those years broadcasting with Jerry?
Well, you learn things all the time when you're with an individual for so many hours every year. Jerry's basketball knowledge is through the freaking roof. And Jerry has a way of putting things into layman terms so that everyone can understand what he is saying. He doesn't talk in complicated sentences.
No.
And it's refreshing because he can take something that might be elaborate and simplify it so most people can understand. And I think that was such a gift that he had.
And he's got such a great sense of humor, incredible sense of humor. He's so bright, so on top of it.
What happened after a period of time? You got to remember, I met Jerry in 1987. So I had known Jerry for many years before we ever teamed up together.
Yeah.
But the greatest thing about working with Jerry was I knew what he was thinking. I knew how he thinks. And I always knew that if I led him into a certain area, I didn't have to worry about him not knowing. He knew everything. And I never had to worry because I asked Jerry questions a lot on the air. I like that.
Yeah.
And I never had to worry about him not knowing. He always knew. And then I always knew when to pull his goat. And I always knew when to take something that was somewhat funny and make it into something that was very funny with a follow-up question.
What about the rap reads when you made him read like all the holiday performers?
But he didn't know until we were live and I would go, Jerry, read this. Right.
So good. I'll say this, and my relationship is nothing compared to you and Jerry, but I've had the pleasure of getting to know Jerry on a personal level since you and I have started working together. And the greatest thing that I can say about him, besides everything Grant always has, he is the exact same person that if you've met him in the supermarket and you stop and talk with him, that's not 5 minutes of shine to get you away. That is Jerry Reynolds. What you see on TV is Jerry Reynolds to a T.
The most down-to-earth country bumpkin that you'll ever meet. He is who he is. He doesn't put on an act for anybody. He doesn't try to impress anybody. He doesn't have an ego. He doesn't think he's better than you or me or anyone else. He's just a gift.
It's a great way to put it. Just a gift.
And Jerry, by the way, if you're watching this right now, someone's paying me to say all these nice things. So just understand that, okay?
And his source tells me it's not Mrs. Reynolds, Jer. So you don't have to ask her. Athena, Grant, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite pastime? What is on your damn Athena? You're going deep on your bucket list.
Wow. Favorite movie from growing up? Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I loved The Bucket List. I thought it was a great movie. Shawshank Redemption. Great movie. Those are some that come to my mind. Let's see. My favorite pastime. There was nothing better as a kid than going into Yankee Stadium to watch Mickey Mantle play. Like, as a little boy, you realized how special it was, even, as a kid in school, to go watch Mickey Mantle play and then go to the store and buy your baseball cards. And we'd all the kids would go down there and you'd become, where's Mickey? And if you got Mickey Mantle, you'd be like on top of the world. And if you didn't get him, you'd cry. Like, that was part of growing up. And it was such a big deal to have an icon playing for your favorite team like Mickey Mantle. Like, that was great.
Sure. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
My bucket
list. Yes.
Very simple. I want to win my lawsuit. That's all I have left on my bucket list.
Parenting. Thank you, Nutshell. Thank you for the super chat. Grant, do you think Doug snaked Brown like he did you?
Well, first of all, I don't like that word.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that word implies that he did it because he wanted to do it and it was intentional. So I don't like that. I don't know what happened with Mike Brown, but I would also find it very unlikely and out of Doug's character to even attempt to do that to Mike Brown. So I would say, I don't know, but if you had to put a gun to my head, I would say 99% no, that did not happen.
Mike, thank you also for the super chat. We're going to be coming to you on the phones in a second, Baki. Grant, give us your top Mitch Richmond story, and do you think DeMar plays similar?
No, he doesn't play similar because Mitch Richmond was one of the best defensive players in the NBA.
Oh my gosh. I thought that was like a young trend thing, like sim liar. I'm like, oh gosh, what's that mean? Remind you, I have a 10-year-old. I'm learning this new language, but
that's okay. You know what? It's okay. No, it's not similar because Mitch was one of the very best defensive players. I don't have a top Mitch Richmond story. It was just a thrill to watch him play every night because he played both sides of the floor. He played both sides of the floor.
Jordan said one of the best guys to play against. I thought that was a great compliment.
Yeah.
By Michael Jordan. Damn, did Mitch have some ugly shoes though? The Air Bacons when those came out. Holy moly. Those things were not good looking. I'm like Ron Burgundy. Put it in the teleprompter. He'll read anything.
You want me to do a rant on you for this?
Yeah, you might as well hit me.
I don't have the energy today, but
it's about as bad as Syosset the first time I said it.
Well, I would think the majority of people would mispronounce the word Syosset.
I was so nervous too. So nervous. Baki, what's up today?
What's up, Baki?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up,
How are you today?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I was at my friends looking for those games tonight, and I was late to the show, so I don't know. You're speaking about NBA or something else, or
it's talking about open forum. Talk about whatever you want.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, nothing on top of my head, so let's stick to I got one question only related to the Kings, and this time of year you always say what if this happened? What is that happened? So let's say we get this. I said first round of the regular round, we finish it good. Like if we beat New Orleans Pelicans 2 times in the next 2 games, so then's the break. And after the break, I hope. I mean, everybody's gonna play better basketball. It's always the case, always any season. So, what do you think if the Kings manage to somehow avoid that play-in, which I'm cheering off, uh, and maybe if we can reach that number 6 and go to the playoffs straight? Uh, what team would you like to see in the
Well,
first round?
I don't think you're being realistic. This team is basically a 500 team, and they've been a 500 team. What makes you think that all of a sudden in the final 20 plus games they're going to be much better
Well,
than a 500 team,
I,
considering
I I only hope. I
considering
only hope.
considering their schedule?
Yeah, I only hope. And Grant, that sometimes schedule has nothing to do with the Kings, particularly because they played the best basketball when you not expecting them to do. So I
That's
said,
with the other team. I don't know if this team's capable of doing that because I haven't seen them do it yet.
yeah, but now is, let's say, new team. We have Levine, we have DeRozan, we have Valanciunas. So I just hope they can put something like more experienced team right now than before. So
No
maybe,
point guard, Baki. Where's your point guard?
yeah, I know that issue, but I don't know. Maybe we're gonna be the first team who's gonna reach and play good without point guard. But I just said if somehow. So I didn't ask my question till the end. So if we somehow get that number 6, which is the team which would you like to see in the first round? In the
Baki,
number
I'm not answering this question. I'm not
no,
answering this question. They may not even make the top 10. I'm not going to answer who I want them to play in the first round. I'm not. It's just, I'm not going to
okay,
talk about hypothetical. And by the way, real
okay,
quickly, because I want to get to this, I would be happy to
okay,
do a rant. I'm on Cameo. Look me up on Cameo. I'll tailor make a rant to whatever you want. Go to Cameo, look me up,
That's a great idea.
and I'll do rants for whoever want. You go to Cameo, and I'm happy to do that. Baki, I understand where you're coming from. I understand you're just asking a question and you're not saying it's going to happen. I don't like talking about hypotheticals. I've never have. I just don't enjoy doing it.
no. Do you know why I asked that? I mean,
Yeah, because
I'm like
because
you.
it's late at night and you're dreaming.
No, no, no. I'm more as you can expect. So I'm maybe 50-50. Is they gonna play go to the play-in or playoffs? I'm 50-50. I don't know. They are new team. They are going up and down. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Well,
But
they better
I
make
just
they first of all better make the play in. They better make sure they're in the top 10. Which
okay.
right now, I'm
Let's
not
hope.
confident in saying that.
Let's hope. I asked Ryan night before. Can you expect this team to beat all 3 games? I mean Dallas and twice New Orleans Pelicans, so that can give us some kind of a guess. But I just do you know why I asked you that? Not because of the Kings. I ask you in the spirit of the whole NBA, which is the team that you now see playing like the team which is adjust to the Kings the most. Maybe Memphis. Maybe I don't know. I mean,
I
I
can't
don't
answer
see
that
Kings.
question. I cannot answer the question. I haven't seen this group play enough. They've only played a few games, and they just beat a Dallas team that was decimated with injuries. They lost to Portland. They lost at home to Orlando. They beat a bad New Orleans team. I need to see them play some other teams. They haven't played anybody yet.
Yeah, but there is no too many games left.
Baki, I got to see them play a good team first. They haven't played a good team yet.
Okay, what is the next good team in our schedule?
Well, I want to see them play the Warriors coming out of the break. Now
Yeah.
they have Jimmy Butler because that's
Yeah,
going to
with
be
the
a
Butler,
challenge.
with Butler. Okay, okay. So what you gonna say if they lose the game, but be very tight game?
I'm looking
You're
at
gonna
how
be
they're playing more
disappointed.
than whether they're winning or losing right now. I've not been happy with what I've seen from this group. I'm sorry. They haven't impressed me at all. Last night, they impressed me a little bit, only because they were trailing in the fourth and they found a way to win, and they found a way to overcome a stupid mistake by DeMar DeRozan. But when I look at who they were playing and the players that were out, not on the floor, I'm not that impressed with beating Dallas with their lineup. I'm just not. I'm sorry.
I hear you, but I'm going to say this. Anytime you overcome 21 turnovers that resulted in 36 points for the other team, that's a pretty damn good win, no matter who's across from you.
It is, but the fact that they turn the ball over 21 times is a concern. That doesn't just like go away.
Absolutely.
Do you expect them
and
to
we
be
go no point guard, right?
No point guard. Yep.
Yeah, no point guard. I mean, it's an issue, but I don't know what will happen. They're not gonna get the new one, that's for sure.
In all likelihood, you never know about the buyout market, but probably not.
But probably, yeah. But
I do know
don't know.
this. I do know this from talking to people. This team is focused on offense. They understand that defense needs to be somewhere near the middle, maybe the top third or bottom third of the league, not at the bottom of it, but they are crystal focused, Grant and Baki, on winning games offensively.
Yep.
I talked to some people who are watching the Kings, like me, and the thing I noticed, everybody noticed this, the thing that Kings are the team where you don't have. I mean, maybe you are searching for the leader among those players on the court, but everybody steps out like something like, I want a ball. Give me the ball, this offense. Give me the ball, this offense. One time is DeRozan, one time is Malik, one time. Last game, you saw Malik Monk doing like this with the hand. Okay, go there, go there. He is the leader. Next possession, DeRozan is the leader. Next one, it's Lavine. I like that. Sometimes it's Sabonis. I like that. It's like more like the group. Because I don't like the teams like New York and Atlanta when every ball has to touch Brunson or
Well, I'll
Trae
tell you
Young.
right now, I'd take the New York Knicks lineup over the Kings lineup any day of the week.
Yeah.
So you may not like that, but I'll win more games with the Knicks than you will with the Kings.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you ever meet in the playoffs, which would be the NBA Finals, but I mean the Knicks would kill the Kings.
They did kill the Kings.
You think?
I know.
You think we're gonna go to the finals and allow ourselves to lose again?
But you speak hypothetical. I'll give you a hypothetical. If
No,
the Kings and the
you
Knicks
said it
played
first.
if the Kings and the Knicks played 10 games, how many games would the Kings win? 3, maybe?
3 was the number that came to mind for me.
Maybe 3.
If all of 10 are friendly ones, then maybe 3. But if it's the NBA Finals, I don't know.
All right, buddy. Hey, you have a good night. Take care, man.
I think the thing that's most concerning to me is I don't, outside of transition, recall a 2-minute stretch of basketball with this new look team where the ball's moving like it did in Boston, where the ball's moving like it just hasn't happened. And that's when they're at their best. Somehow you got to find it.
Yep, got to find it. What's the schedule tomorrow? I have Sean Salisbury at 3. What time are you going to do the pregame?
4:00. We'll be right back getting you ready for the Kings and the Pellies. Keep an eye on CJ, as you said, Napes. Good job by you. Questionable personal reasons. We got one last. PK wants seconds. You want to give PK seconds? All right.
PK's cool. Go ahead.
PK, what's up, buddy?
Grant, what's your problem with the Kings? What is your
problem with them?
Grant, what's your problem with the Kings? We were 13 and 17, and you got mad at us for rooting for the team. Why can't we root
they're
for the
one
team?
game over 500, PK.
You don't know the team. Why are you speculating?
Okay, well, then you know what, PK? Why do you watch this show every night if I don't know the team?
Because you're smart.
PK, I got a question for you.
Why would we watch Kings? If we use your rationale, Grant.
PK, I'm not a
pissing us off
cheerleader.
as Kings fans.
PK, I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not on this show to be a Kings pom-pom waving cheerleader. That's not why I do this show. If you cannot handle objective criticism, then go watch another show. It's very simple.
But you don't know, Grant. You don't.
Well,
you have
PK,
no idea
what
how
do you
they're
know
going to
that
finish.
I don't know?
Why are you speculating that Kings are going to suck for the rest of the season?
What do you know, PK?
When did that
I don't
come
know?
out of Grant's
Get your crystal
mouth?
ball out, PK. Get your crystal ball out. What do you know that I don't know? Help me out. Educate me.
The fact that we have a brand new roster and you don't know.
Did I just
don't know.
not say
None
that?
of you know.
What did I just say, PK? What did I just tell Baki? Baki wanted to talk about the Kings being 6. He wanted to talk. I said, Baki, I can't answer that question because I haven't seen this team play enough. I mentioned the games they've played, and I said, I'm sorry.
No, but you predicted on your crystal ball that we're going to suck for the rest of the season.
PK, let me finish, and then I'll let you go. I just said the exact same thing, but you only hear what you want to hear.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I think you're wrong. You've been wrong the whole season, Grant.
What's their record?
Grant, what did you say when we were 13 and 17? You said season was done.
I said it was going to be very, very difficult to make the playoffs. That's exactly right.
Yeah, but
And
what did you say
It's
when we came
gonna be
back
difficult
on
to make
the
the
winning
playoffs.
streak? You changed your mind.
Well, first of all, their winning streak was extremely flawed, okay? They beat almost every team without their best players. Do not ignore that. Do not just say, oh, gee, Grant, you just don't want to give the team credit. Almost every team they played was without their best players. Philadelphia without Embiid.
Unless we win by
Philadelphia
10,
without
10
their best
points
players.
or something.
Dallas without their best player. Miami without their best player.
Grant, so you're
almost
saying
every
that we have
team
to
they
win by
played
10 points in order for the win to count?
PK,
Why can't we steal a game?
PK, what's the Kings' record right now?
27-26.
Good night. All right, Rhino. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock, Sean Salisbury.
Yep.
Looking forward to that. Do we have another call?
Yes, we do. Good job by you hearing through that. Eddie, what's up tonight? Wrap us up, buddy.
Hi, I was just wondering if the NBA is ever going to institute some sort of Wonderlic exam where they test.
Should have just gone to the good night after PK. All right, so 3 o'clock, Sean Salisbury, Rhino at 4 o'clock with the pregame show, Jerry Reynolds at halftime, and then postgame. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Kings need to win these 2 games. I don't want any excuses. The New Orleans Pelicans are a mess. They're the biggest mess in the NBA right now. There's going to be 2,000 people at the game tomorrow, okay? Yep. I don't care whether CJ McCollum plays or not. You need to win the game, and you need to win the next night. There are no excuses for not winning both these games, period. No excuses.
Yep. Don't look at that week off. Get these 2 done, and then enjoy the week off. I'm with you, partner.
All right. To everyone else, thank you very much. We'll talk to you tomorrow. 3 o'clock, Sean Salisbury. Bye-bye.